Guys, welcome to the first ever video under the new branding of Wolfie TV, and it's a big video to start off with because we're going to be doing a match preview between Nottingham Forest and Wolves, and this I honestly think is the biggest game of the season for both teams so far because both teams find themselves in an 8-team relegation battle, and I honestly think it could go anyway at the moment. 8 teams, 3 of those are going to go down at the end of the season. But in all honesty, I couldn't call which way that is going to go at the moment because it is so close. And a win for either of these teams would be absolutely huge. Let's have a look at, start off the video by having a look at recent form. And the one thing that as Wolves fans do have compared to Nottingham Forest in the last 5 fixtures is thankfully a win, if you're kind of being optimistic in some ways and looking at the glass as being half full. But let's face it, both teams haven't been in great form in recent times. And I suppose the one fixture which Nottingham Forest fans will be looking at is the draw that they managed to pull off against Man City, the same way that we would be looking at that massive win which we got against Spurs. Apart from that, it has been pretty dismal for both teams. And I think you have to go 7 fixtures to look for Nottingham Forest's last win. But it's not really pretty for us either, is it? Let's be honest. That loss for Leeds against Leeds United, we're going to be wanting to rectify that. And in the same way that was a pretty shameful result for us. At the same time, Nottingham Forest, they've had their fair share of shameful results in recent times. The one that I'd perhaps look at the most is that 4-0 defeat to West Ham. And both teams have actually faced defeat to Newcastle United in recent times. One thing, if you're looking for a positive for Wolves, is the fact that although we did finish the game with 10 men and we actually managed to get an additional man sent off in Matthias Nunes, thankfully the red card for Matthias Nunes has been rescinded. The one for Johnny Otto hasn't, but let's be honest, it was a red card. It was an awful tackle in all honesty. And, we're going to have to look for another option come the weekend. Guys, just a quick one for me before we do get back to this match preview. If you are enjoying the video so far, please do a massive favour, hit that like button, and if you've not done so already, please do hit that subscribe button as well. Now let's get back to this match preview. Let's go. And Forest, although recent form hasn't been great, let's talk about them, because the one thing that does really concern me is Forest's home form. Now, let me give you a little statistic to help, you guys see maybe why I am fearful of Forest's home form. If you took Forest's home form and replicated that into, the away games as well, Forest would currently be sitting on 40 points, sat in, I think, actually 8th or 9th position, which just really does show how different their home form is compared to their away form. And it really does emphasize maybe how this is such a bigger task when we go to the City ground compared to what we face if maybe we were facing Forest at the Molineux. One thing that I'm also slightly concerned about, or one person that I'm slightly concerned about, is this man on screen, former Wolves player Morgan Gibbs-White. He has really picked up form in recent times and has been one of, if not the key player for Nottingham Forest in recent times. He's also managed to attract the eye of Gareth Southgate, who has said that he is actually looking and observing Morgan Gibbs-White as potentially one of the players that could be called up for England in the future. And one of the reasons for that is not only his recent Nottingham Forest form, he's also been doing pretty well with England under 21s or 23s, but he's been doing well with the England, the England youth setup. He has spoke about Wolves in an interview in actually recent times, but also this week, speaking about the incident which has been brought up on screen, where he did do that, I guess, somewhat famous celebration to us Wolves fans now, but just because it has been spoken about so much. In that interview, he did say, look, Wolves fans were giving me stick, so I'm going to give them some stick back, which does continue the little bit of a feud that has opened up between Wolves fans and Morgan Gibbs-White. it's one of them for me. I've got to be honest. I'm not so angry about the bloke compared to maybe some Wolves fans. We got a very good deal. Morgan Gibbs-white got to move on to another club, which, he himself said he really did feel that he needed to move on from Wolves. And I've kind of got to agree that I think it was just something that sort of suited all parties. One thing that he did say, which I did question a little bit, he kind of made out in the most recent interview that, he was the utmost professional at Wolves and things just unfortunately didn't go well for him in terms of game time. I don't think that's quite the truth. I don't think he was the best professional at times with us. I do think he quite publicly threw his toys out the pram at times about his lack of game time, I should say. Christ. But yeah, that's something completely different. His lack of game time. And in all honesty, I just think it suited all parties. I think he has been a much better professional at Nottingham Forest, and he has found some good form, which in all honesty does just scare me a little. It's just one of those things, and when you're going to face a former player, especially when there's quite a lot of friction and heat around the situation, you do just, the pessimist in you just thinks, Christ, is this guy going to go and get the big, most important goal of the game? And hopefully, as Wolves fans, we don't think that's going to be the case, and hopefully it won't be. If we do speak about our team's Wolves, where do we start? Well, let's start with Matthias Nunes. As I did mention earlier on in the video, his red card has thankfully been rescinded and he will be available for selection. Of course, he didn't get on the pitch against Leeds, and it has got me and probably a lot of other Wolves fans questioning, when are we actually going to see the hype that was around this guy when we signed him? This proved hype as well that he had with his former club. He was coming as a marquee signing. We spent all summer battling to get this guy. And in all honesty, we just probably haven't really seen the best of him so far. Despite not seeing the best of him, he continues to get linked to Liverpool. I'd question he hasn't really shown that kind of form in the Premier League yet to be linked with a big club like Liverpool. And you do wonder, are we going to see the best of him? Part of the reason we've maybe not seen the best of him is that at times he's probably been shoved out to the left-hand side, which isn't his most natural position. And I really would like to see him, play to his full potential and play in his best position. And hopefully we do start to see the best of Matthias Nunes when we need it most. Another big question is around who's going to obviously cover Johnny Otto after his red card. And the only player that we could look towards is possibly Ryan Ait-Nouri on that left-hand side. Now, we do know that Craig Dawson can also play on the left-hand side, but we've got to ask, probably the most sensible and most selection that would make sense would be for Ait-Nouri to start out on the left-hand side. Now, you do wonder why he hasn't been selected, because he did start well under Lopategy and he actually got used as not only a left back at times, but also a left winger. You do wonder if there's something going on behind the scenes with Ait-Nouri. I think before our former manager Bruno Lage did question his commitment to not the team, but also his attitude as a player. And it does make you start to speculate, just natural speculation about whether he's one of those players that just doesn't give all, especially when it comes to training. But hopefully he does get some game time and hopefully he does show that commitment that we really do need at this time of the season, because we know that this bloke at his best has some real natural talent and it'd be great to see the best out of him. Big decisions come for Lopategy in this game for me. I think, he's been an absolute breath of fresh air for us, but at times some of his team selections have got me scratching my head a little bit, and I don't think I'm the only fan that has been feeling the same about that. Sometimes, you do feel that maybe he isn't picking his best 11, and you do wonder whether him himself knows what his best 11 is at the moment. It is difficult when you come midway through the season, though, to be fair to him, but we really do need to see him get it right with his team selection, and we really need to see the best of Lopategy tactics in this game. So me, if I was Mr. Lopategy, what would my starting 11 be? Let me bring it up on screen for you in a little bit bigger, just so you can see it in more detail. I'd probably go with this formation. I'd go with the 4-3-3, but I'd be making some serious changes, some of which are forced. I'd keep the back four, the back five in some ways with Jose Sarr the same, apart from the obvious choice that we've got to make in selecting another left back to start the game, and I would go with Ryan Ait-Nouri. But as I've said, we could see Dawson maybe going out on that left side with Max Kilman partnering up with Nathan Collins, possibly, who did actually have a really good international break, Nathan Collins. The midfield three, if it was up to me, I'd go for a stronghold of Lamina in centre as a centre defensive mid, with Matthias Nunes and Ruben Neves, of course, partnering up with him. Another option would be João Moutinho, and we did see João Gomez get a bit of a surprise selection last game. I think if it was up to me, though, I do feel that these three are our best three players when it comes to, you know, the centre mid partnerships, and I'd be interested to see what your guys' thoughts are as well. And if I did have to pick a front three, well, to be honest, I'm flipping it completely to what we saw against that Leeds team. You know, it was a great international break for Raul Jimenez. He did apparently get booed by the Mexican fans after his World Cup performance, along with some of the other Mexican players. You do just wonder, look, Raul, he's been getting better and better, but we can't have just improved performances. We need complete performances. And it's been over a year now since his last goal for club and country. And you just wonder whether it would be a smarter move to start Matheus Cunha, who I do think is much more of a number 10 than he is a number 9. But with players such as Adama Traore on the right-hand side, who I do think, you know, is our most promising player at the moment. I do think we should be seeing him start. And I think it's about time we see another start for Pablo Sarabia, where especially when he has been coming on, he's not found that end result, that final touch, that goal. But let's face it, the whole of the Wolves team has been guilty of that this season. And I think he does just have that class above any of the other players. One selection I wouldn't hate, though, is another start for Pedro Neto, who did get a very impressive and a very big goal away on international duty. Of course, he did play for the youth team of Portugal, and it's good to see him back on the score sheet, and hopefully we see him back on the score sheet for Wolves. Guys, let me know your predictions, as always, with these kind of things. But if I am going to pick a prediction for myself, I'd love to say it's going to be a Wolves win, but the one thing that really does scare me is Forest's home form. As I say, it's much better than their away form. So I would take a draw, and I am going to be honest, I do see this one as a 1-1 prediction. Please drop me your predictions in the comments, and as I've said in the video, please do hit that like button. Please do subscribe to new Wolves channel, Wolfie TV, and hopefully we shall see you on the match reaction after the weekend, and hopefully we will be happy, we will be smiling after 3 big points. Catch you on the next one, guys. Take care, have a good weekend, and let's see how this one goes. Take care, goodbye.